Welcome to the Powerful Alternatives to Typical OEM Offerings conference call. My name is Larissa, and I'll be your operator for today's call. During today's event, we'll be taking questions online. You may type your question in the Q&A box located on the right-hand side of your screen. I'll now turn the call over to Paul Smith. Mr. Smith, you may begin.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being patient. A lot of times when we have these WebExes, people are a few minutes late, so we wanted to give them an opportunity to jump on board. But again, good afternoon and welcome to Avnet Remarketing Solutions educational webinar on cutting costs with non-OEM maintenance. My name is Paul Smith, and I head up the maintenance program for Avnet Remarketing Solutions. We have this presentation down to about 20 minutes because we know it's very difficult to listen in on everybody's busy day, and we're going to stick to very key points. But over the next 20 minutes, we're going to be talking about potential savings with non-OEM maintenance, the flexibility within the program, experience of the engineers in the call center, and parts availability. As I mentioned, at the end, we're going to answer all the questions that come up, but feel free to enter those throughout the WebEx, and then we'll answer those. Our agenda, we're going to cover the following topics. We're going to talk about challenges IT departments face today, and you probably know those better than anybody. OEM maintenance, what do you need to know? Non-OEM maintenance, what do you need to look for? Benefits of non-OEM maintenance compared to what you may have today if you use OEM maintenance exclusively and you're not familiar with non-OEM maintenance. Feature benefits of Canvas Guard, which is the Avnet Remarketing branded maintenance program. And then some Canvas Guard success stories, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So challenges IT departments face today. You know, things changed back in 2008. I think everybody remembers it well. The housing market crashed, financial institutions were struggling, the auto industry was struggling. Just markets across the board changed. And because of that, organizations changed. A lot of people got impacted with layoffs. A lot of cost cutting took place. And today, 4 years later, we still deal with some of the same pains. The economy looks a little bit better, but organizations aren't as quick to restaff. They're not as quick to refresh their equipment. They're trying to do more with less. They're trying to cut costs while retaining their current functionality. They're trying to minimize their costs. If it doesn't add money to the bottom line, then there's a good chance they're not going to invest in it. And organizations are definitely trying to extend the life of their IT equipment. The refresh cycles we saw pre-2008, when organizations would be refreshing every 3 years, have gone away. We don't see that to be the norm anymore. Organizations are looking to reduce the cost of ownership, and maintenance absolutely falls into that category. That is one of the biggest things in the TCO of equipment. Organizations are trying to increase the uptime, and they're doing that through dynamic and flexible IT services and supports. They're trying to match their business needs better, and you're seeing a lot more take place today with cloud computing and virtualization. Not sure if y'all are familiar with Gartner. Gartner is an independent research firm that has a tendency to measures trends on different industries. And the independent maintenance as well as OEM maintenance is one of the industries that they start trending. And they actually started doing this about 8 years ago because there was a big switch going from the OEM maintenance to a non-OEM maintenance offering. Below are three key points that they've had in some of their studies. Number one is hardware and software maintenance represents the single largest IT expense for many enterprises. You know, step back and think about that a second. Hardware and software maintenance representing one of the largest expenses you have. And unfortunately, that's one of the things, if you go through an OEM, has a tendency to go up year over year. Mid-sized companies should pay more attention to reducing maintenance support costs. Reducing hardware maintenance costs can save money through a number of means, and we'll talk a lot about that during today's presentation. And then Gartner has found that the cost of hardware maintenance has increased 5.5% over the last year, but the provider's ability to meet service level commitments has decreased by 4.5%. There's two trends that obviously are causing both those numbers. Number one, organizations aren't refreshing. Because they're not refreshing, OEMs have a tendency to increase their maintenance costs year over year after it comes off of the basic maintenance that comes with a new purchase. And also, a lot of these organizations have been trying to meet the street's earnings. And because they may not be meeting or falling behind on the earnings projections, they reduce their servicing staff. OEMs are not in the business for service. They're manufacturers, and they try to sell equipment. Due to that, satisfaction from the customer's perspective has gotten lower. So what exactly do you need to know about OEM maintenance? Well, there's some of the things that are very obvious, and I think a lot of us know that today. OEMs are very large. They're very inflexible. They don't have a tendency to want to listen to your needs, but they sort of have, here's our box, and we want you to fit in it. And as I mentioned a minute ago, OEM's goal is to sell new equipment. I mean, that's where a large percentage of their revenue comes from. And one of the processes they use to try to sell more equipment is they increase the cost of maintenance over the course of time, and that makes it look a little more valuable to buy new equipment because the offset of the increased maintenance cost, because you get maintenance with your new equipment, makes more sense. OEMs also directly support their core competency. So, for example, IBM focuses on IBM equipment. Will they offer maintenance on other organizations? Yes, some of them will. Some of them will offer a package where they'll cover HP or Sun, Hitachi, EMC, but they don't do that themselves. They will do that through partners. They'll do that through third-party or non-OEM maintenance providers. OEMs will also bundle hardware sales with long-term standardized support contracts. This is pretty standard. When they sell you new equipment, they'll bundle the maintenance into it. And then they automatically have these evergreen clauses tied into it where they automatically renew, whether it's a 1-year or a 3-year agreement, and the cost increases over the course of time. And then if you do have a tendency to drop off your maintenance program, a lot of the OEMs are starting to charge huge penalties to re-enlist your equipment back into maintenance. For example, if you drop off and it's been on not under OEM maintenance for a piece of equipment for 6 months, some organizations may charge you 9 months of back pay just to bring it back on the maintenance program. What else do you need to know about OEM maintenance? Well, number one, their contracts can pretty much run from 1 to 3 years. Occasionally, you'll see a 5-year contract. You absolutely need to know that they auto-renew. Because of the auto-renewal process they use, or the evergreen clause, your windows of opportunity to cancel sometimes can be pretty short. And before you know it, you've gotten past the window of opportunity, and then they want to charge you a penalty for canceling. From a cancellation policy, you do want to know what your cancellation policies are within your contract. Also, if you want to consolidate, are there penalties? If you want to add or drop equipment from your contract, can you get a rebate? So, for example, if you have a piece of equipment that no longer you're using and you're retiring it, will you get a refund for the existing months left on your contract? Or if you want to add equipment, are there no penalties and they'll add it without an issue? Bottom line, you want to know what your environment is. A lot of organizations, we speak to them weekly, are not sure what assets they have in their data centers. Due to this, you run into a lot of issues. So I would absolutely ask your current provider for an audit of your equipment. If they're not willing to help you, feel free to reach out to Avnet Technology Services or Solutions. We'd be more than happy to help you out. Because there's a lot of things that can happen here. Number one, you can right-size your maintenance program. We see it very common where organizations will take equipment that was in a live environment and they moved it into a developmental or a DR environment, and they still are carrying a 7x24 maintenance contract on it, and they can lower costs by going to an 8x5 or maybe even self-maintaining. You also could be paying for equipment that has been retired. You absolutely aren't even running the equipment anymore, and you're still paying a maintenance fee for that equipment. At the end of the day, you want to plan ahead. You don't want to wait till the last minute. If you're starting to investigate, again, you can reach out and get quotes to find out what kind of cost you're looking at to look at a non-OEM program. You can ask questions and educate yourself. Absolutely research your alternative solutions. Bottom line, you want to educate yourself. So non-OEM maintenance. This is an alternative, and a lot of organizations are not very educated on it, and some don't even know it exists. But what do you want to look for in a non-OEM maintenance provider? One, you want to align yourself with a provider that can serve you today and into the future. We talked before about how organizations are challenged more today, and they're doing more with less. And it's easier to have an organization that can serve you in multiple environments as opposed to having to go to multiple organizations. So one of the things you want to do is look for organizations that, number one, are honest, ethical. Number two, that can do what you need from a maintenance standpoint. And a big bonus is, do they do other things? Do they sell equipment? Can they help you with asset disposition if you're looking to retire equipment? Can they help you with data destruction when you're looking to retire equipment or you have drives that are pulled out of devices? All those are important points to look at when you're looking at a provider. Also, can a non-OEM maintenance provider help you with managing your warranty dates? You know, if you go back to one contract for all of your, one co-term contract for all of your pieces of equipment, you know, a lot of your organizations, I'll pick on the Wintel product lines, HP and Dell. If you buy a Dell product in January, you're going to have a 1 to 3 year contract on that piece of equipment. If you go and buy another piece of equipment in March, you'll have another contract on that for the same 1 to 3 years. You buy another one in June, you'll have the same situation. So now you have 3 pieces of equipment with 3 contracts that start and end on 3 different dates. With a non-OEM maintenance provider, we can manage that for you. We can have it under one contract, and you only pay for what you use. All we need to know is serial numbers to be able to manage when they come off a warranty and when you want to start them under a non-OEM maintenance program. You also want to look at what is the engineering experience of the organization. You know, are they their people? Are they folks that come out to work on your equipment, working on printers one day and the next day working on mid-range servers, or are they specialists? And not only are they specialists on mid-range servers, but are they IBM specialists? In our organization, most of our engineers come from the OEMs, and we've been fortunate to benefit from some of the layoffs that have happened in the OEM world and gotten some exceptional engineers in that world. Who's answering the phone, and who's calling you back when you call in on a ticket? Are these engineers that are calling you back, or are these frontline customer service agents that are offshore that are looking through a series of questions that they need to ask you, and you've already gone through all those questions? Are these engineers that know you as an individual and know what your capabilities are? Will the parts be available? Define the SLAs with the organization and then find out exactly what you're getting, because SLAs can differ from different organizations. Will they deliver on the services promised? And if they don't, what do? How do they jump through hoops? How high will they jump? And at the end of the day, can they support co-locations, virtualized environments? Can they help you in all those areas? So now that we know what we're looking for, let's discuss the benefits of non-OEM maintenance. Number one, it can be one provider for multi-vendor support. So you can have one organization that can handle all your servers, all your storage, all your networking. And it's not only one OEM, but you can have all the servers, whether it be Dell, HP, IBM, Sun, your storage, Hitachi, EMC, networking, Juniper, Cisco. Would that make sense to have that all under one contract, or at least to consolidate a large percentage of your contract under that? Also, non-OEM has the ability to offer software support from an OS perspective. So they will not walk away if it's an OS-related issue. They will get in there and get involved and act as your agent to help you resolve whether it's software or hardware that's causing your issues. You know, not too long ago, we had a Fortune 100 organization that we had the opportunity to work with, and they were working with an OEM on some OS-related issues. And the OEM was not being proactive at all. So they gave us an opportunity. They had 3 cases that had been open with the OEM for over a month. Within a week, we had all 3 cases solved, and they were pretty darn impressed, as you can imagine. The equipment was Sun equipment, and as you can imagine, we got a good piece of their maintenance infrastructure based on what we proved. Non-OEM maintenance can also improve your TCO. How do they do that? Number one, they can extend the life cycle of your existing systems. In the non-OEM world, there is no end of life, no end of service. So if you want to run your equipment for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you can do so. Our goal is to maintain equipment at a low cost for as long as you want to use the equipment. More importantly, over the course of time, you will not see an increase in your cost. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is whatever cost we give you on day one is the same cost you're going to see in the future. And the way we do that is parts have a tendency to go down in cost over time. Labor has a tendency to go up over time, as well as other operational costs. The two of those offset each other. And we look to give you a program that allows you to manage your budget from year to year. When it does come time to refresh your equipment or retire your equipment, one of the things you may want to consider, and these are outside of the non-OEM maintenance, but this goes back to an organization that may be able to help you, is you may want to look at refurbished equipment. If you're not familiar with refurbished equipment or haven't used it before, refurbished equipment does not necessarily mean it's always used. A lot of refurbished equipment can be what we call new in box. That means it has never been used by anybody, but because an OEM sales rep does not get credit for the sale, it cannot be claimed as new equipment. It does. Many pieces of those equipment do come with warranties. Also, you may want to figure out how you're going to sanitize the data off the drives when you retire the equipment. And then also look at your asset disposition. Are you giving it to somebody to dispose of and you're not sure where it's going and it may end up in a landfill? Or are you truly giving it to somebody who can recycle the plastics, the metals, the cables, the circuit boards, and make sure you're helping our world become a greener place? Let's talk a little bit about Canvas Guard maintenance. And Canvas Guard, again, is the branded name for Avnet Technology Solutions maintenance program, our non-OEM maintenance program. And our program is more than a maintenance program. It's a maintenance management program. And the way we look at it is we want to help you manage your assets from a couple directions. Number one, what do you have in your environment? Number two, being able to maintain that equipment as long as you want to and be a consultant for you, if you want to say, to give you better solutions. What can we do for you? Number one, we talked about co-term contracts. We do this day in and day out. We have one contract with our customers. We've had customers that have gone from 30 plus contracts down to one contract. You only pay for what you use. So it's one contract for all your equipment, regardless of who the OEM is. You're able to add equipment and drop equipment without penalties. You're able to change your SLAs with no penalty. So if you want to go from 7x24 to 8x5, or if you want to go the reverse, 8x5 to 7x24, you can do that. And we have a great program that helps a lot of organizations. It's called the Fix It First option. And this is pretty standard, and we have it at different levels based on how the organization wants to set it up. But at the end of the day, if you are a maintenance customer of ours and you call in on a serial number that is not under maintenance, we will not turn you away. We will not ask you for a PO or a credit card before we'll work on it. We basically will say that it's not presently under maintenance. Be more happy to come out and work on it. This may involve some T&M costs, but more importantly, we want to make sure that you get up and running as quickly as possible. Are you okay with that? And then we'll start working on that piece of equipment. We also offer some self-maintenance options. A lot of organizations may have internal expertise from an engineering perspective, and then we offer programs where we can supply parts for you. I'll give you a great example. We have a large multi-billion-dollar organization that their goal was to reduce their spend, their maintenance spend, and they did have the local expertise. And what they wanted to do was set up a parts inventory of which they did not need to purchase, but they wanted to have the availability of those parts to use when they needed them. And we've set up multiple programs along these lines. Some of them are 8x5 next business day where we can ship parts next day. Some are actually stocked at the customer site where they can pull from them. This one customer we're talking about actually saved over $180,000 a year on this piece of their program. Engineering consistency. This is a critical component of our program. And what I mean by engineering consistency is when we set up a new account, we set up a primary engineer, a secondary engineer, and a tertiary engineer. And what I mean by that is Murphy's Law does take place, and you can't always have your primary engineer. They may be on another call. But we do want to make sure we have a core set of engineers, and if they're available, we always go with the primary first that knows your site, they know your security practices, they know where your equipment's located, they know where parts are located if you have parts on site, and they know the expertise of the local personnel. All those together lead to a faster resolution to your equipment. And then also we offer expertise on supporting organizations whether they have standalone equipment or whether they have cloud environments. One of the reasons that we're so good in the cloud environment is Avnet Technology actually offers a cloud product, and we actually bundle it. It's a cloud product that could be leased, so it's an OpEx as opposed to a CapEx, and it also comes with maintenance. It can be completely built up with whatever customized equipment you want in there. It competes with some of the bigger cloud programs out there by some of the OEMs today, but again, it's at fractions of the cost and actually surpasses some of the requirements that are out there. What else can we tell you about Canvas Guard maintenance management? Number one, you can save 40 to 60% off your OEM pricing. But not only can you save 40 to 60% off the OEM pricing, but the price never goes up over the course of time. So that's talking about the savings today. Over the course of time, it would even be greater because you're not paying for that increased price from year to year, and you're not forced to buy new equipment if what the equipment you have today serves its purpose. It's fixed pricing for the life of the equipment, not necessarily for the life of the contract, but for as long as the equipment is in your infrastructure. We have contract flexibility. We truly will listen to your needs and build a program about what you're looking for. We have Tier 3 engineering support. So in essence, we have experts on whatever product line it is that will be calling into you when you put your first call in, or I'm sorry, will be responding to you, and they will truly listen to find out what error messages you're getting, whether it's OS or whether it's software or whether it's hardware, and then we'll develop a plan and work with you, and if we need to dispatch engineers and parts, we do so. We're a world leader in parts availability. That's what Canvas Systems was founded on, and the Canvas Guard program which is part of Avnet Technology Solutions today. And it's the backbone of any maintenance program. The parts you have in-house and that you have in depots close to your customer sites are what's going to make sure that you get systems back up and operational quickly. The other two components of the maintenance program are processes and people, and you want to make sure you have the best engineers in-house and make sure you have good sound processes that take place not only for first call but for escalation and for when things don't go the direction you want them to go and how do you respond to them. And then you want to make sure you have the ability to data destruct. Canvas does. We have a full data destruction program where we give you certification to help you with that. The Canvas Guard program, this next slide talks a little bit about Canvas Guard versus OEM maintenance. Some of this you can read through and is pretty self-explanatory. We do offer call home features. Obviously the OEM does as well. It lets us know proactively if your systems are spitting out error messages. We did talk about the guaranteed fixed pricing for the life of the equipment. Try to get that from the OEM. Customized program to fit your customer's needs, we'll do. And we also have the ability to co-term your contracts. The next point is a big one, local parts depots. We offer a couple different offerings to our customers. One is local parts depots, but we also offer, if our customers have room at their sites, as many times we'll put parts at the customer's site. Here's the benefit of that. Number one, the parts are there, so when the engineer dispatches at 2 in the morning, they don't have to make a stop to get a part when they're coming in. But two, if it's a hot swappable part and it's identified on the call that it is, and you have local engineering expertise, some organizations like their engineers to go pull that hot swappable part and install it themselves. And your system's back up and running within 10 minutes. We do offer 4-hour response time, and most of the time that's with part in hand. No organization out there guarantees a 4-hour, on their 7x24x4 SLA, guarantee that an engineer is going to be on site with part in hand. It's best effort on the part. Many times you have to ask what the 4-hour response time is. Does it mean I'm going to get a call back within 4 hours? Does it mean that I'm going to have somebody on site within 4 hours? Our program offers somebody on site within 4 hours, and because of the way we have our depots and on-site parts programs, most times they'll have the part in hand and we'll be working on your system and have you back up and operational within 4 hours. The maintenance services does include OS. We can act as your agent. We can recommend patches, fixes, and updates that you need to get your systems back up and operational. And the Fix It First policy, which we spoke about, we will cover whatever equipment, if you have a maintenance program with us, on a Fix It First, won't ask for a PO, won't ask for a purchase order, or won't ask for anything up front. We'll get it back up and operational as quickly as possible. And then at the end of the day, our engineers, that's what they work on. They work on end-of-life equipment day in and day out, unlike the OEMs, which they're working on their newer equipment that's coming out. A couple real-world examples on the Canvas Guard program. These are two, and we have many more we could share with you if you want to talk to your sales rep and get on a call, and we can give you a list of customers we work with today. But we had a program for an auto manufacturer dealership group. And as you can imagine, back in 2008, they were hit pretty hard. The U.S. government had to get involved with a lot of those organizations so they didn't go out of business. What they wanted to do is they still wanted maintenance, but they wanted to reduce their costs and they wanted to fulfill some unique business requirements. They wanted, number one, they wanted one contract to simplify it, and they wanted the ability to add, drop, and change without penalty. Pretty simple request, but in their eyes, they had never seen that before. And as you can imagine, with consolidations and closures, it was very important to them. At the end of the day, we were able to put together a custom agreement that fit what they needed. We were able to offer them next business day replacement parts on network edge, as well as their development and DR equipment. On their core switches, we were able to offer them SmartNet. And on their servers and storage, we're able to offer them a program where engineers could actually show up and work on it. We could align the service level for what they needed. This organization saved over 45% on their maintenance program. The second one is a Fortune 500 organization, and they're in the financial industry. And their goal and what their challenge was to reduce cost. They wanted to maintain all their end-of-life equipment and be able to run it as long as they needed to and let them make the decision on when they stop using it. And they wanted one provider for all their enterprise equipment. Again, we were able to put a program together for them where we were able to maintain their IBM Sun, HP, servers, and storage. We were able to put an on-site parts depot for them so they could actually do a lot of the hot swappables and SWILF, and they thought that was very important to get their systems back up and operational because they did not have the excess of equipment that they had in the past. We set together a dedicated team of engineers to work on this account, and then we also were able to set up custom billing for them, which allowed true-up process on a quarterly basis, which made it simplify their financial process for adds and drops. This organization saved over 57% on their program. But another thing that was important about this organization is they wanted an organization that could help them and be a turnkey organization in other areas. So this organization also wanted someone that can do all their data destruction and come in on a yearly basis for equipment they retired, for drives they put out, and be able to certify with a program that was serialized by serial number the drives that were destroyed. So from an audit and a compliance standpoint, they had that in place. That is a lot of information in 20 minutes. And I hope it was educational for everybody. I hope it opened your eyes to some alternatives that you may have if you were not aware of them, or if you were aware of them, gave you some additional insight into the program. I would like to open it up for some Q&A today if anybody has any questions. And you can type those online, and we'll answer based on what your questions are. Okay, of course, first question came through, says, how do you scale for support and parts availability given growth and in large corporate organizations? We actually look at our parts availability program in a very customized way. Number one, we'll go to our customer and ask them, what kind of program would you like to set up? Many times, the first offering will be, would you like to have parts on site? And if they do want parts on site, we'll actually put parts lockers on site. We will show them a list of the parts that we're going to carry on site, and we'll take input from them. If they have other parts that they feel they need to be in that parts locker, we'll do that. If they do not want them on site, and the other thing key about parts on site is these are dedicated parts to your organization if they're on site. They're not in a shared model, meaning we're not going to come on site and pull a part from your parts cabinet for another customer in the same city. If we run a parts depot, which is centralized in a, say for example, a city, Atlanta, then those are shared parts. Those parts would be shared by multiple customers, and we have a ratio that we carry based on the type of part. The ratio of drive to equipment is higher than it may be on a processor board, for example. We had a question come through that says, do you work on AS400? And the answer to that is yes. I would say there is more equipment that we work on than we don't work on. And one of the things that we find that is very important in this business is, number one, is you're ethical, honest, and upfront. And if we can work on it 100% with no limitations, we will let you know that. If we can work on it with some limitations, we will let you know that. And if we don't feel like it's a good fit for us, we will let you know that. Most equipment that we work on, if it has been out for more than 9 months from the OEM, then there's a good chance it fits in our wheelhouse. Some of the exceptions on that may be very high-end servers or high-end storage devices. And with those, some of the OEMs have made it a little harder to get firmware or code. But if it is an older piece of equipment in those regards and your systems are established and they don't have fluctuations with issues, and what you're running on is consistently not running into issues, then it's easy to help you. Another question just came through. How do you integrate this program with existing or larger outsource agreements that are already in place? And we do that today. We actually have programs that we work with where they are actually working with an outsourcer or a managed service provider. And we start with whatever equipment may fall outside or fell through the cracks or is not covered by that organization. And what we find over the course of time, and this is a reoccurring example, is our business is a land and expand business, which means we get in and we show our worth, our net value, and customers have a tendency to start adding more and more to our contracts because they see that we say what we're going to do and we walk the talk. Question just came across, how do you handle Cisco iOS support? From a Cisco perspective, the iOS is the requirement of the customer. We can do hardware break fix on that equipment. From an iOS perspective, it's important that the customer has their licenses for patches and updates. And if you have your licenses for patches and updates, we can act as your agent to download that information. Most of the times, there are workarounds in the Cisco environment. And what I recommend with most customers is if you never go outside of your comfort level. And if in the Cisco world, start with your edge. Ask yourself questions like, when is the last time I called Cisco Tech? When is the last time I needed to download a patch on this piece of equipment? And if you start answering the questions to that, I can't think of the last time I did, or I don't think I ever have, then it may be a great candidate for a break-fix environment. Again, one of the things in the Cisco world, which is no different than the server and storage world, if it is end-of-life, end-of-service equipment, that does not have a definition in our world. We can maintain all end-of-life, end-of-service equipment. So I hope that answered your question. Also, from a location coverage, we have the ability to maintain equipment. And again, I'm going to caveat this, and I would absolutely recommend you reach out to one of our sales reps, and we can get more specific about your unique needs. But today, we offer services worldwide for customers. I will sit here and say there are areas that we struggle with. Great example would be Mexico. But Western Europe, UK, Asia, North America, Canada, which obviously is part of North America, piece of cake. Some areas, if you're outside of a major city, Africa, and you're not, around one of the major cities, then it may bring more of a challenge on. And we'll let you know that. Again, we'll be real upfront with you. We can't do it. We can't do 4 hour. We can do 6 hour. We can't do 6 hour. We can do next business day. And if it fits your need, then great. If it doesn't, then you probably want to stay with what you're doing today. Are your engineers certified by the OEM? Most of our engineers came from the OEM. So they got certifications from the OEMs when they were with them. Very few OEMs offer training programs to certify independent or non-OEM maintenance providers. So, but then also, most of the equipment we're working on is equipment that is N-1, N-2, N-3. So they've been certified on that equipment, and they're working on that equipment today. And then we offer in-house training programs for engineers where we'll bring in whatever devices they're working on if they're newer equipment, and they're able to dissect problems through that. We also keep a knowledge base, so we have the ability for all of our engineers to share in previous tickets. Any other questions? Again, we can get in a lot more detail if you want to learn more about our specific program. At the end of the day, the opportunity of non-OEM maintenance, I would be shocked if you did not save 40 to 60%. Based on contract size, it could be larger. Based on type of equipment, it could be greater. It varies based on all of those factors. And based on location, how many devices you have at a single location compared to having equipment that's spread out in multiple cities. and I don't want to say spread out, where you have one server at 10 cities, or you have 10 servers in one city, obviously pricing can vary a little bit. Another question just came up. Let me read this. Fine. Does anything you do avoid any part of the warranty? Avoid the warranty. Is there more to that? Can you open that up? Okay. If it is currently under warranty with the OEM, it really depends on the different OEMs. A lot of times when you buy a new piece of equipment, what most customers do is they'll stay with the OEM until their warranty expires. Now, what we do offer with some lines of business is an uplift. So customers may buy 8x5 next business day or get 8x5 standard with their piece of equipment next business day, and they'll uplift 7x24 through us. Now, again, it depends on the OEM and how easy they are to work with, because sometimes they want to make sure that they're the individuals that determine what the part is and what gets replaced, and they want to have their engineers involved in that program to make that decision. Others don't care, and they're what they call customer replaceable parts, and they basically just say, oh, you had a bad drive, I'll ship you a drive. With those, it's a little easier for us to work. Our goal is to get into your organization, show our value, show our worth, and then bring value into your program. Diagnostic tools. It says Dell has diagnostic tools. Does Canvas have something similar? Absolutely. We have, all of our engineers have diagnostic tools for different types of equipment that we're able to run. And again, we'd have to look at the specific type of equipment. We'd be more than happy to have you get on calls with our engineers and talk to them about the specifics, about what tools they do, what processes they go through. Again, we're a open kimono when it comes to our maintenance program. We think it's very important that you get to talk to our subject matter experts and make sure that you're satisfied before you make a decision. Say it again. We have one more question coming in. Give me a second. Let me read it. Question is, can you get support from day one? So I guess that means if I bought a piece of equipment from the OEM, could I get coverage from day one? And again, the answer is it depends on the equipment and it depends on the OEM. With a lot of the Wintel products, absolutely. The lower end, a lot of it, what drives the ability for us to maintain it from day one depends on how new the equipment is to the business environment. So if it's latest and greatest and parts availability are not out there, then the chances of us being able to save you a lot of money are not that great, because obviously parts are where a big piece of the savings come from. And we got to make sure that we have readily available parts to be able to service your environment. Any other questions? We'll give you a couple more minutes. Again, if you want to drop me an email or give me a call directly, I'd be more than happy to take your call and answer any additional questions you may have, or set you up with the appropriate individual. Again, I head up our maintenance program, so I will take the introductory call, but there's a good chance I will hand you off to a sales representative that will be able to help your needs in a lot of regards. As you can imagine, Avnet Technology Solutions is not just a maintenance provider. That is one offering we have, but we have many other services that we can help you with, and again, be what we like to call one throat to choke. Or one organization that can help you in many areas and satisfy your customer needs. Okay. Well, I don't see any more questions coming through. So again, I thank everybody for their time today. I know wearing multiple hats and busy schedules, it's very tough to take 45 minutes out of your day and spend on a WebEx. We do appreciate your time. We thank you, and we hopefully have answered your questions and can be of service to you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.